Hey everybody, welcome to the Black Lives Matter discussion group. Today we're going to talk about representation and why it matters. Personally, I've always known a world where I felt represented, and that's not the case for a whole chunk of the world. And I wanted to talk about this because I wanted to learn the perspective of like my Black brothers and sisters and other races of what we can do to have better representation and also heal what's coming up around this topic, so we can feel like a more equal world, you know. So yeah, I was wondering what others were feeling about this topic and how they felt throughout their lives with representation.
Yeah, I mean, I know for me, as I where I grew up, we had two African American families in my town. It was more so like I just didn't get to see anyone from that culture or from that background at all. And so when I went to college and I, started to develop friendships and meet people, it was like a whole new world. And so for me, it's kind of like this worldly education. And I think kids nowadays probably get more of it because there's the internet. And I think media is doing a better job at having more representation. But I remember this was a couple months ago. Stacia and I were watching some old TV shows, just doing some, we were watching 90s stuff on Disney. And I was like, man, they keep having the token Brink. Black guy or the and that was the thing back then. You had the best friend that was Black, and they always ended up, my upset about it was they always ended up with the other Black person that was in the show and nobody else was Black. And they always were partnered together, right? And
yeah, I guess that is a representation.
Yeah. And yeah, for me, it was, I never really understood it. And I think when I started to see more representation of Black people, I know that as I was growing up, I got kind of confused. I was kind of well, why is this an all Black movie now? I don't get it. I didn't understand what was happening. And it hasn't been till recently where I feel there's more of a mix, and you don't really care what the person's race is as to why they're in a specific play or media or thing like that. And that kind of also brings up the topic of I don't know if you guys remember seeing in the media, I don't remember her name, but they had casted the part of Ariel in the upcoming Little Mermaid movie live action as a Black girl. And there was a lot of people upset about it and stuff like that. And I just remember thinking well, damn, can it just be casted based off the person? And this is where my mind and where my education has been going to. And so I would love to hear from the other side of the story and just you get clear on this perspective. I know Khalida has a lot of background in this too. But yeah, that's kind of my story as to how I've experienced representation in the media and how I've felt about it.
I don't know if that was my jump off my tag. Man, so a lot came up when you were just speaking. What came up the most was Black Panther. So when Black Panther came out, man, I guess it was 2 years now, right? So it wasn't last year, but the year before that. the symbolism and the representation in that movie was just phenomenal. Like that's like the hashtag representation matters like movie. Because it was not only, it's in a genre that everyone can attest to. Like everyone wants to be a hero. You know, everyone wants to save the day. Everyone wants to do something great. And just to see to that point, that wasn't like the case to see a Black person in a hero type of role was just awesome. Storm, when Halle Berry played Storm, didn't even get that much play, but because like the whole movie was about representation, right? There was representation for every gender, every walk of life, every beneficial. It was STEM in there. She was an engineer. Like just all this representation in one movie is just crazy. And the power of what that representation did for particularly the African American community is astounding. And then just to know that he passed away this year, Black Panther. You know, so that's one movie that really just kind of comes to mind, and why it's just so important for other people, for you to be able to see yourself. You know, I became an attorney not because I knew other attorneys, but I knew it was achievable, right? Like I knew, that's a lot. I didn't know other attorneys. I was in a magnet program for legal and public affairs. I'm not sure why I'm playing right now, but that was important to the catapult of like me wanting to do this, right? But if you're not experienced in something or don't see it, it's hard to kind of pinpoint that I can do that, I can be that, you know, all those different things. I came in a little bit later, so I'm not sure if like the other part is applicable, but yeah, if anybody else has any thoughts. Did Marley already talk? Yeah, okay.
Yes, but I was thinking about a TikTok that I recently saw about like Disney movies and like Disney princesses. And they were talking about the new movie Soul, which had like a lot of representation, which was really cool. But Disney has this thing where like they always make the Black characters like turn into an animal. Like every single Disney character in like Disney.
Glad you brought that up.
That yeah, I was like,
yeah, it was the exact
well,
same thing I was gonna say.
Yeah.
They had an upset with the Disney princess, the one who plays the Princess and the Frog, which is the only Black princess that we have. In the majority of the movie, she's a green frog. She doesn't actually get to stay the princess. And so a lot of people had an upset with that. You're right, that any Black character is turned into something else, and they don't actually get to represent the African American culture, a Black person, because they've been turned into an animal of some sort. Yeah, I did do the same thing. I had the same upset too, because it's very true. It's like you have this princess who, I guess in a sense in this movie, she's trying to build her own business and build her own restaurant. And it's like she has to go through all of this nonsense to receive what she wants, but it requires her to be turned into a frog, and that's how she spends the majority of the movie. And so it felt like, yeah, like there's like this, exactly that. That was really what that was that people don't, the actors who are Black don't get to continue that way. They have to change into something else to seem to be accepted by society or in the movie.
It's like the energy that I get from it is that like we can't fully be ourselves. It's like we can be only ourselves in moments. And so she could be herself in showing her struggle in the beginning of the movie, and then she can be herself when she becomes the princess at the end, right? But there's no longevity to just being yourself, fully being ourselves anyways, in many cases. But
I didn't even realize a lot of Disney characters that were Black turned into animals. And yeah, I think there's an upset. I think there's an upset with representation of the people of color in general in movies. First, we started with the token Black guy who had basically no personality and was just there to support the roles of white characters. And then there's a question of, are people producing movies with representation because this is what appeals to the market now, or because it stems from a genuine place of wanting to represent more people and be more realistic in the representation of society. And yeah, I feel like there's still a long way to go from there, even though it's better now. And I think it's one of those upsets where, you know, Black people are represented a little bit, but in certain circumstances and in certain format. And yeah, I think, as Ray said, we should be in a society where representation is kind of freedom, like the freedom to choose a person to be an actor or an actress because of the personality of a person or because of the talent of a person, but we are not there yet. And so I want to know, for example, can you share what was the upset specifically that you felt when you saw that?
I think part of my upset that it was that it took so long to finally have a Black princess in all of these movies, since Disney's been doing movies for a very long time. Let's see. It was just like this feeling that like that we don't get to just be who we are for the longevity of like it's comfortable to just be who we are at any moment, and that we don't have to change or be different. I think like growing up myself, there was moments like where I really desired to like just be my true self, but it wasn't always accepted. So then I was trying to be like the other girls in my class, or dress the way that they did, or do my hair the way that they did. And even then I still wasn't always accepted. So yeah, there's just this feeling of like not just being accepted for fully who we are.
Mm. Yeah, so is it safe to be who you truly are in whatever moment?
Yeah, I guess like I have to realize that like I don't have to change just because society says I should.
Yeah. Are you your perfect, unique self?
Yeah. Yeah, I choose to just claim my unique self, my individuality.
Yeah, and do you allow yourself to express as you truly desire to?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm saying that like I'm attaching to like I'm attaching to whether or not they receive me or if they approve of me. I choose to release that.
Yeah, it feels like a heaviness, which is lifting right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's okay to let it go.
Yeah, I choose to let it go.
Great. How do you feel?
So much more peaceful here. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So our first card is individuality. Individuality. You weave your unique stamp on love on everything you do.
Perfect.
That's funny. And I shuffled those too.
I love that card because like that's what makes media and like stories so interesting, is because there's like individuality. And if we're not telling like a huge chunk of the population of this earth's like stories, then we're missing out on like a lot of awesome and like really interesting stuff. So yeah, and like I do see like more and more stories that I'm not familiar with, which like really broadens my horizons. Or yeah, I think that's how you use that word. But yeah, I also saw like Disney's making like or Pixar's making a new movie that's like all Black cast. I don't know when it's coming out, but in the TikTok, the guy was like, they better not turn anyone into an animal in this one. And I don't know, I hope they don't. And I because they did even in Soul, where they like turned him into a cat for like a little bit. But yeah, I think I have good feelings about this new one, and more stories that are really like unique and beautiful to come. So, and we're here to share those too, like us like healing this and like knowing how important our story is to be shared is like exactly what is like helping us heal this. So yeah.
But there's a consciousness there that, like, for every single movie that represents or who's to spotlight African Americans, that they've been animals, like there's literally a consciousness there that, or unconsciousness, right, that makes you say and makes you really I don't know, I think it just makes it real of like some of the other stuff that we're battling. Like this is so I'm not an animal lover, but I'm not an animal hater. But you know, I think my life is more important than an animal. I'm if it's between the dog or me, I'm gonna need you to save my life. And so there's you know, when we talk about the definition of racism, it's the inferior and superior way of thinking. And so that there's a superior that thinks a group of people are inferior. And so there's a level of healing that one group has to do who feels they're superior in whatever way, and a group of healing that another group of people have to do who are portraying or feel inferior in any way, right? And for that, for America, that's white people who feel superior, and for America, that's Black people who feel inferior, and then people of color. And so I don't know. I feel like that example really just shows a little bit of what is in the consciousness, and that hurts a little bit. And I'm just thinking about like my favorite movie for Disney, which is Lion King. That's literally all animals. They're beautiful animals. They're beautiful African animals, but that's like the first movie also. And yeah, I don't know. There's hurt there for sure.
When you go into that?
Sorry, Kanisha?
Go ahead, go ahead.
When you say Disney movies, which ones are you referring to? Are you talking about animations or live actions?
Don't live actions turn into animations? Or live actions are derived from the animations?
No, live action is live action as in real people.
Yeah, I don't know any Disney movies that are live action that are not, like, that's the next thing Disney is doing, I feel like, is turning in their animations into live people.
Do you remember Brandy and Whitney Houston's Cinderella?
Yeah.
Because I was looking at Kanisha like, wait, Anika was not the first Black Disney princess. What are you talking about? And I wanted to say, well, I wanted to wait till she was finished. But no, Brandy was the first African-American princess. She was Cinderella. This was 1997. Yes. And no one was really an animal in this one. And plus we had a Filipino prince. We had an African.
Which is interesting because you got a Black mom and a white dad. How do you get a Filipino prince?
Was the queen. Yeah.
Who's the Filipino prince?
I forgot his name. Paulo something. You gotta look it up. He doesn't.
No, but what movie?
Cinderella. Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella, the 1997 version. There's two versions. There's a Julie Andrews version, and I'm such a film buff. And there's a 1997 version for the same one. Same songs and everything, but obviously, you know, Whitney Houston can belt her ass off better than anyone in the.
Was Whoopi Goldberg the queen? Is that what you said?
Yes.
Yeah.
And Brandy was Cinderella. You're right. I totally forgot about that. I
mean, that's good. But when you think of Cinderella, you do not think of Brandy. When you think of Princess Tiana, you do think of Princess Tiana.
So do you want to go into that upset?
Differences, you mean?
Say it again.
Like the differences, you mean?
Yeah, the I don't know, the
like the story plots.
Yeah, and what it represents. Like what you think that representation, you know, when you think of Princess Cinderella, I don't think of Brandy.
Oh.
I didn't even hear about this. I've never seen this movie.
I mean, this is from my personal experience. That Cinderella was the very first Cinderella I ever saw before I got into the old Disney movies. So, I mean, when I say Cinderella, I do think of Brandy. I mean, Brandy is my childhood, so I can't speak for everybody else. So, yeah.
Well, that's good. This is good.
Yeah.
We're making strides.
So, Khalida, I want to go back to that place where, like, you're feeling hurt about the consciousness.
Yeah.
So, what is your upset here?
I think my upset is that we, and when I say we, I mean everybody, would let it go on for so long. And when I say let it go on, let like our representation connect to animals or, you know, or not, you know, just kind of have that as part of how Disney depicted the culture. So I'm upset that we let it go on for so long.
Hmm.
We didn't call him out on it before in a loving way.
What do you need to feel loved here?
I think just to have gratitude that the tide is turning. And gratitude that it's a safe space to turn the tide. And that people are open to it.
Is there anything else that she needs you to feel loved?
I think what is coming up is that I don't need I don't need validation from anyone else. Like I always had God's validation. That's why I hear screams.
Yeah, so can you give yourself that validation?
I can. Yeah, hear this?
What was that?
I was wondering if y'all hear what I'm hearing.
Oh yeah, we hear it. That's letting you know that you want validation. So you got to give yourself the validation you desire. Yeah. Does anyone get to define who you are?
No.
No.
I get to choose.
Is there any part of her who desires forgiveness? Not speaking up or letting things go too long?
Yeah. Yeah.
Give her all that forgiveness.
I choose to forgive myself.
Good. And how's she feeling now?
She's feeling good. There's something about what you just said of letting it go so long. That there's still something there.
There's fear of standing up for yourself?
No, it's something about timing that's coming up, but I'm not sure what it is. That I'm like perfectly where God has me, but in some ways I don't feel that way.
So what do you need here to feel good?
I think the reassurance that God's timing is perfect.
Is that true? God's timing is perfect?
Yes, it is true.
Yeah, it's safe to
I know that to be
true.
true. Go ahead. I definitely know that to be true. I was sounding a little doubtful though.
And how are you feeling now?
Clarity for sure.
Mm.
And it feels
And
good.
is there anything else that she needs here to feel loved?
Mm. No, I think that feels good for now. I think.
Okay. The card that comes out is perfect. Surrender to inner peace. Cultivate inner peace on a daily basis in quiet meditative moments. Focus on the stillness within and enjoy the inner refuge. Others will feel your good vibes too, and your life will flow more easily.
On point. Thanks.
Surrender into God's love. You're so welcome. Nice work.
One thing that feels heavy to me too is the fact that I have this feeling like of a pattern where Black people are literally forgotten when it comes to representation. Like it's not that producers like often consciously like whitewash a movie or select an all-white cast because they want an all-white cast. It's just that I feel like they think about a certain actor or a certain actress, and then it ends up with an all-white cast. Simple as that. And so it's a consciousness where a lot of talented Black artists are forgotten from representation. And I had the same feeling when Kalida said that the use of minority, the term minority, is problematic in itself because why talk so much about minority when it is an ethnic group that is long-standing in the country? Why still see it as a minority? Why still see it as other? And so I feel it's all part of like this big upset about being forgotten or not validated, like you said earlier. And so yeah, it feels quite bad. Yeah, I've been trying to put my finger on it for quite a long time now, and I feel like this is the core of it, like for representation at least.
Do you want some guidance to this?
Yeah.
Cool. I hope the dog in the background isn't too distracting. But how are you feeling?
Like I said, I'm feeling like heavy.
What is that heaviness like pointing to?
I think it's a deep sadness.
Mm-hmm. And can you speak to this sadness and ask her like what she needs to feel better here?
Mm-hmm. She needs to be acknowledged and heard.
Yeah. Yeah, can you give her all of that acknowledgement, and just listen to her? How is that feeling?
A little bit better. I feel it still hurts a little.
Okay. Why, can you ask that part of you why it's hurting?
She feels like she doesn't matter.
Yeah, you can share the truth with her. That she's like the most important thing to God. And God never forgets his child.
This is very healing. Thank you.
Is there anything else that you're feeling here?
No, I feel good.
Good. Yeah. Well, yeah. Cool. I like imagined like when we were healing, like just like putting yourself like on a stage and just like being like all in the crowd, like duplicates of yourself, just like cheering yourself on. So yeah. Yeah. I think that vision is like perfect for like when you're feeling like maybe you are being forgotten, or like you feel like you're just like you don't deserve to be heard. It's like, of course you do. Give that to yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, that feels good. Being my #1 fan.
Yes. Woohoo.
Yeah, the card that we got is self-love. You realize that the love of self is necessary to love another.
Okay, so I have something because I feel like there's something that we're all avoiding here. But yeah, but if I bring this up and if I like bring it up wrong, I just don't want to like make anybody upset. But I feel like this is something that has to be addressed. So if you feel the upset, speak because I think this is what we're working through. But what is the upset that you like have with animals? Like, what do you feel animals represent? Like,
I knew this was coming up.
yeah, well, that's why the
It's
dog
because I'll be straight up. Black people are associated with gorillas, monkeys. That's how people have always come at us about things. And I didn't know how to bring that up either. So I'm glad you addressed that, Drake. Thank you.
Yeah. So we can go into this because I feel like it's a really sensitive topic. So how does that make you feel?
Infuriated. It makes me mad. It makes me real mad. Because like really, if we think about it, like through evolution, I think like all humans have come that way. So I don't know how only Black people are associated with that. But it has to do with our features, like our noses and pretty much our features. And so it's just like, it's almost feeling like we're being called ugly and not accepted just because of the way that we were designed and look.
Okay. Yeah. So when you feel past all this anger, what's left?
Sadness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Why is this part of you sad?
Because I feel like the world finds me ugly and not beautiful.
Yeah.
Or like sees me more of like an animal than a human being.
Yeah. Is that how God sees you though?
No.
how does God see you?
That's his perfect divine child.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he thinks like you're the most gorgeous being ever, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and didn't he create you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So does God create ugly people?
No.
No. Right? God creates everyone perfect, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. So is there maybe a part of you that believes you're ugly?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what does she need here to feel love?
And we get to see her in her true divinity and her perfection.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Can you imagine yourself in front of yourself right now?
Yeah.
And just look at yourself, right? Your nose, your eyes, and look at everything, and just tell all these parts of you that you love them and that they're perfect.
Yeah. It's like imagining kissing each part of her face and telling her she's beautiful.
Yeah.
And I do love her fully.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you accept her fully?
I do accept her fully.
Good.
Yeah, it's one of her episodes, just like attaching to what other people think. And I have to choose to really release that attachment.
Yeah. That's just how they see themselves. It's actually not you.
Hmm. Yeah, I guess like there's always like this part of her that always feels like out of place. Like I noticed this yesterday. I went to a Bible study here, and there was like 30 girls, 30 women, and I was the only person of color. And it kind of like they all looked at me like what? And I walked into the room, and I was like, oh, I am literally the only Black person here. And so like there's always like this feeling of feeling like I'm out of place. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe there's a part of you that judges yourself.
Hmm. Yeah, I see that.
Yeah. So can you accept her here?
Yeah, it's really a judgment.
Yeah. When God is looking at that Bible study, does he see 30 white women and 1 Black woman?
No, he just sees all of his children coming together to know him deeper.
Yeah. Yeah. He sees all our inner qualities, right?
Mm-hmm. He's one child.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I choose to release that part of me. I think that I'm separate from my brothers and sisters.
Yeah. Because you're not, and you're not separate from God either.
No.
Yeah. Good. How does she feel now?
She feels loved and received. And she's
Yeah.
seeing the truth now.
Good. Is there anything else here?
No, I actually feel really peaceful. Thank you, Drake. I appreciate you bringing that up.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I'm so glad that Kalina brought up The Lion King because I just love that movie. It's very. It makes me cry every time I watch that. And I just cry. But you know, yeah, they're lions, right? And lions are like they're very powerful animals, right? Like very divine animals. You know, king of the like aren't they king of the jungle or is that the tiger? I don't remember.
Yeah, the King of the Jungle.
Okay, yeah. So they're very powerful, right? Very respected. So maybe it's just, yeah, like seeing yourself as the lion, right? Like a powerful being, you know. Yeah, if that helps. I mean, I'm a Leo, so I love it. You know, being a lion. That's just my thing. But yeah, like, you know, animals are divine too, and I know that, like, again, I'm not trying to say that like turning people into animals is like a good thing, but maybe it's just like seeing it from a different perspective also. Like Black Panther, right? Black Panther is also an animal, and they're powerful too, right? Like you look at a panther, you're like, ooh, don't mess with them, right? So yeah, I don't know, maybe just seeing it too, and realizing that, like, yeah, animals are divine. I don't know if I'm saying it right. Maybe you guys are knowing
You
what I'm
got it
saying.
right. You got it. Yeah, I completely understand you. And it's our next card is surrender outdated beliefs about yourself. Let go of limiting ideas about yourself that originate from the past. Then you can own your own power and soar into your life. So that really just cultivates what you're trying to say there.
Yeah, that's good.
Perfect.
It also I think a lot of the reasons why Black people are like represented as animals is like there is like a belief there that like Black people are like subhuman. They're like below human when they're like represented as animals in media. So that's also like a key thing to remember. But yeah, I agree that like we're getting a clear idea of like what animals are and everything, and yeah, it's just like bringing that up in me. Does that make sense to people?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, I wanted to make sure that I was still like, I don't know, like not saying that basically, like realizing that, yeah. So, but I just feel like there was a little upset with animals. So.
You were very
Yeah.
gentle with your approach. You're okay, Drake.
It's like, I don't want to know.
It's always safe to speak your truth.
Yeah.
But Desi, how are you feeling?
Say that one more time.
How are you feeling?
When Marley actually brought up her comment about how that what I think the word she used, that some people see African Americans, well, Black people, as subhuman. Is that the word you used, Marley?
Yeah, like basically inferior.
Yeah, that made me actually think about this article that I read. It's about it's called Human Zoos. This was a long time ago, and it was this article about I didn't read it fully, but it pretty much showed like it's like an African American child. He's like 4 or 5 years old, and you can see uh like white people like trying to like pet this child like he's an animal, and this kid is behind like it's like a set of bars or something like that. Yeah, so that actually made me think about like that belief for a second.
Yeah, this is part of the international expositions in Europe. Well, like the representation, like the belief that Black people are subhuman, like below human, comes from slavery and colonization. For example, like in the Caribbean, like there was a saying that Black people, a slave's life mattered as much as a cow's life, for example. something like that. And then with the colonization still there in the 19th century and the beginning of 20th century, there were kind of like outdoor museums in Europe for short periods of time, and they were like architectural and medical things presented, but there were also people from the colonies, especially in France and Great Britain, that were exposed for white people and civilians to see. And people thought that these people came directly from the colonies in sometimes like animal suits, like half naked, or Asian people in traditional costumes. But while some of it is true, most of the times these were students and artists living in Europe that tried to have a little bit of income at the end of the month. And so were hired and disguised and put behind bars for people to see during the day. So I think, and a lot of like representation in artistry was derived from that. Most of it painting Black people in kind of animal poses. And so the idea that Black people equal animals, it's a whole culture from colonization. It's a whole part of colonization and the transmission of colonization ideas from generations to generations. And so that is why there is such a big upset about it. And so, yeah, I don't know if there's ever existed in the United States, but it went on for about a century in Europe, like every year.
Yeah, because I was reading the article, there was like these different villages, especially in France. Like and this was in the late 1800s. And also there was one in Brussels, and all I know about is Brussels and France, and these were considered exhibits, but obviously the key word is human zoos, and these people were African American and indigenous. So, yeah.
So how are you feeling, Deji?
I'm pissed.
Okay. What's under that anger?
It's definitely similar to you, Kanisha, hearing about what other people think and their beliefs.
So if we were to mirror that, I'm upset with my beliefs and what I think about myself.
Yeah.
And what does that part of you need to feel loved to?
Just love, really.
Give them all that love, all the acceptance. Is there anything else coming up for him here?
I feel it was just me attaching to those ideals when obviously, you know, they're not true.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think it was just that I got attached too quickly when that thought came to my head.
Yeah, it's safe to let go of that attachment.
Yes.
Is there anything else coming up for you?
One second. I feel it was just that.
Okay. You feel complete here?
Yes.
Okay. So we have cause and effect. You are aware that the love you create in your thoughts is an agent of change and the foundation of your results.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what's really coming up is just like the more that we release attachment to the beliefs and these thoughts, and we really stand in our truth, the more that it'll really show in our reality, and the world will start to naturally receive it, because they all learned it somewhere, some way, somehow. Like there was a thought, and then it was expanded, and people learned this. And so through unlearning this and not attaching to the lie, we can really start to spread the truth and the love. That's really what we're doing, is reprogramming. That's what we're doing. Yeah. How's everyone feeling? We got like 2 more minutes left.
I feel good. I just wanted to kind of what stirred up this was the use of the word minority. So I don't know. I guess I feel like we should just talk about it really quickly. And Irene mentioned it too. So I'm gonna do like a really quick activity. Everyone just kind of go around and like say, what's the first thought when you hear the word minority? And so Kanisha, Marley, Drake, Deji, Urine. And y'all don't got your screen on. And actually, no, this is better. This is better. Put it in the chat and I'm gonna read it so that everyone does it at one time. And so it's first thought, don't think of it, don't overthink it. What is the first thing that you think about when you hear the word minority? And just put it in the chat and I'll read it out. We're missing some folks. That means you're overthinking. All right, so we've got the word stranger, we've got the word Hispanic, we've got people of color, Minority Report, the Tom Cruise film, not as many, not noticed, and so all these words. That's so funny. Only one person said the actual definition, which is not as many. But either way, those words that were used, they don't feel good, right? Like if you're talking about a group of people, you connect them as minority, like Hispanics, people of color. A movie, okay, fine, if that's what you think about a movie, Minority Report. Not noticed, that doesn't feel good. And usually the word that comes to mind for me is less than. Like, so minority to me means less than. It's less than a number. And so it's fine to use the word minority and majority when you're talking about like numbers and the number of people in Congress, right? Because it's the minority and the majority. But when you're connecting it to like people and like a group of people, like that doesn't feel good. And so I'm just like a strong advocate of not using the word minority when we're talking about people. And so thinking about how we can actually identify the people that we're talking about. So whether we're talking about African Americans or people of color or, whatever we're trying to say, that we say that word and not the word minority. So fun change, fun invitation for change.
I think that's why the movie came up, because even though like minority is a word, I don't really refer to myself as minority. Yeah. I mean, it's not a part of my vocabulary either, so.
Right. But we all ain't there yet. So it's a way to change and a way to just talk about each other, our brothers and sisters, differently. All right, it's 3:01.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm going to start doing that. So thank you for sharing that. And thank you everyone for joining today. I really loved the discussion today. And see us next week at Tuesday, 3 p.m. Eastern, and like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Yeah. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.